Hey guys, this is Florian here from the PADI Foundation, and in this video I'm going to run you through the Conservation Action Portal. To get started, you can either head to action.padiaware.org or you can also download the app on either the Android Apple App Store. And once you're ready to log in, you can join me here. So for the login of this new platform, we're no longer using the MyOcean account, but we're using an SSO, a single sign-on system that's combined with PADI. So you will be using the same information as you would signing into any other PADI app to sign into this app. So once you're ready, you can just click on login and go ahead and sign in. And also for these of you that haven't got an account yet, you do have the option to create an account here. Perfect. And once you're signed in, you will get to this dashboard here. And I'm going to run you through all the details here in just a second. But before we get started, we're just going to finish setting up our account quickly and adding our website as well as our social media information to our account. So later on, we can rely on this information being correct. So to find your settings, you can click on the settings icon on the right side here, and your settings will open up. And under preferences, you can adjust your email address or add an alternative email address as well as your address. And you can opt in and out of PADI Aware communications. And then when you get to social media accounts, you can add your Instagram, your Facebook, as well as your email and website here. And this information is important as we want to display your information as much as possible tied to the actions you take. So if it's Adopt a Blue, if it's Dive Against Debris, we want to direct people back to you and give them a chance to find you. And this information will help us to do so. You will also see that the URL, for example, www.instagram.com, is already populated, so you just have to add your account handle behind it. Also check that the email address is correct, and you can add your public website below here and click on submit. So once this is done, we're gonna head back to the dashboard. So on the dashboard here, you have all the information ready to go, and this is really the home where everything lives on. So on the left side here, you can find the menu where you can find the actions you can take, which are the surveys you have already submitted. We're gonna get to that in just a moment. The global impact map as well as the contact form. Then in the center here, we do have the actions dashboard. So on top, we can see a global impact map, which just summarizes all the actions that we've taken together as an ocean conservation community. So you can see the amount of dive sites that we've adopted and the amount of surveys that have been submitted to PADI Aware. Also the amount of participants that have participated in actions for ocean conservation and the pieces of marine debris that we've removed as a community. And last but not least, you can also see the count of entangled animals that were found. And this number is unfortunately not only animals that we were able to save, but also sometimes dead animals that were found in debris. So not that positive, but it's a really important number to have after all. Then below that, you can see the available surveys to use. So for me, you can see that Adopt a Blue is available here and Dive Against Debris. In the future, there will be further surveys such as the shark and ray census and other surveys that will be listed here. If you don't see Adopt a Blue, this means that you're either a recreational diver or a dive professional. The Adopt a Blue program currently is only available to dive shops. Don't worry if you don't see this. Below here, you can find further initiatives you can take to support our work at the PADI Aware Foundation and initiatives that we're currently running. So you can see here currently we do have listed the donation button. So if you want to go ahead and support us financially, you can click here and do so. We do really appreciate every donation that we receive, no matter how small or big it may be. And next to it, you can also see the Plastics 3D petition, which is still ongoing, which is a call for us for signatures that help us address the problem of plastic pollution at its origin at the INC Global Plastics Treaty. On the right side here, you can find your personal dashboard. So you can see your impact, the amount of surveys you have submitted, the amount of debris you have removed, the weight of the debris removed, and the entangled animals that you've listed. And below that, you can find your badges, which you receive for taking action. So here you can see you have the Adopt a Blue badge, as we have adopted the Blue already with this account. We have participated and submitted a Dive Against Debris service, so we do have this badge. and the torchbearer badge that you will see as well, which just showcases that you are an active part of our global torchbearer community, which is a community of divers and ocean enthusiasts aiming to achieve balance between the ocean and humanity by taking conservation actions. Next up, I will run you through the citizen science service that we offer, which is the Adopt a Blue platform and the Dive Against Debris. If Adopt a Blue isn't available for you right now, you can just skip ahead to the Dive Against Debris part. Otherwise, I'm excited to show you how you can adopt the Blue in this updated platform. Before we get into it, I just want to briefly speak about why adopting the Blue is so important and why I urge you to adopt as many sites as you can before we get into the how to do so. Adopt the Blue is aiming to be the largest network of dive sites for citizen science across the planet, and it aims to help us with our MPA work in different parts of the planet by providing really important baseline data of dive sites, but also we then can layer other surveys such as Dive Against Debris, Shark and Ray on top of it to have a live insight on what's happening on these dive sites, and it gives us the tools to address governments and decision makers in the end of the day to help us protect these dive sites more and address problems that are found there. You can adopt as many dive sites as you can. You will see it's a very quick and easy process. So what I would recommend you to do is to adopt every dive site you regularly dive, and also don't worry if you see other people have already adopted the dive site. If multiple dive shops adopt the same dive site, it actually helps us quite a lot because it shows that this is a really important dive site that divers use, and it has commercial value for the tourism industry. So it actually makes our work easier. And last but not least, by adopting the Blue, you also increase your listing on the DS. Will be shown on different pages across the ecosphere. So you will also increase your visibility across different PADI platforms for your dive shops, for people to find you. So if you want to go ahead, you can just click on the Adopt the Blue sign, the blue button, and it will take you to the survey. First of all, just check the information here is correct and that you agree to the following rules below here, and click on Start. Once you're ready to go ahead, it's quite important that you add your contact information. Reason for that being is we do run a lot of activations across the planet when we need help collecting data or when we have programs running out that we need to implement in the field, and we find this list on Adopt a Blue. So if your dive shop is in an area that's interesting and is really active and we want to reach out to you with an offer to participate in an action, we will use the information that you provide us here to get in touch with you. So if this isn't correct, unfortunately, we can't get a hold of you. So just go ahead and fill out this form quickly. And once you're ready to go ahead, you can click on Continue. So next up, the dive site location and information. So the first step will be identifying and finding the dive site. How you can do that is by click on site locator, and then you can zoom in and out to find the dive site you want to tag. I'm going to speed this up quickly just so you don't have to wait for me finding my local dive site here on the map, but you can see how the process works quite easily by watching me do that. So for the example here, I will just adopt one of our local dive sites here that I dive regularly with my friends here in Austria, which is a lake in Switzerland, just across the border. So once I've found the site, I can drop the pin. And what's important is to drop the pin in the center of the dive site that you dive, not at the entry point. And once you're ready to go, you can click on Update and then continue with New Site. So now we can select the radius of how much we dive. So if it's a very location-based dive site, you can make it smaller, or if you kind of survey around or journey around a bit more, you can make the circle bigger and also click on Continue. So once we've done that, next up we have to enter the name. So I'm just going to type in here Bootsrampe, which is the name for this dive site, and move on to the survey field for this dive site. As this is a freshwater lake, I'm going to add freshwater, but you can choose any according environment that works best for your dive site. And then also, what conservation issues do we find at this? So for example, on this dive site, we do have debris problem, as we find quite a lot of debris floating around there. And actually we do have an invasive species of clams that is taking over this lake, but it's not applicable here. So I'm just going to add other, and I will add it in the field down here in a second. And next up, it's quite important for us to understand the conservation status of this dive site, so if it is already protected or not yet, so we can identify the best dive sites for us to take action to protect the environment. So if you don't know what the protection status is right now, just click on do not know. Otherwise you can say not protected or protected, or if the protection is in process, you can select pending. But this dive site currently isn't protected, so I will select that. And then below we will add any relevant information on the details that we've given above. So for this one, as I stated before, we do have a problem with, they're called quokka clams. And also we do find a lot of debris from the boats, as well as fishing gear. Next up, we're just going to have to finish off this form here, which is, first of all, us agreeing to PADI Aware using this information to contact us regarding conservation actions we can take. So we definitely want to agree to this. And then also your adopted blues will be shown in different places across the PADI atmosphere, as you said before. So they will be on the dive shop locator. You can find the adopted blues. They will be in the dive site locator, as well as the adopted blue impact map. And if people click on that, they can find the information. What's really important here is you will have to double check the information you want displayed there. So to increase your visibility to a max and give people the best opportunity to reach you, I would select all of them. And just double check that the information we've stated here is correct. And as we've already done before, we set up our account, so this should be correct. But if the information here was wrong, you would have to go back to your account settings that we set up in the first step to adjust these. And once you're ready to go, we can click on submit. So this adoption has been a success, and it will take about 30 minutes for this dive site to show up on your surveys as well as on the action map. So don't be worried if you don't see it right away. And next up, we're going to go through the dive against debris process to show you how you can log the data from your most recent dive against debris on the new conservation action portal. Before we dive into that, I'm just going to give you a couple of quick reminders for dive against debris. So first up, it is really important for the validity of the data that we only submit data or data from trash that is found underwater. So we don't want to submit the data from our beach cleanup or from stuff we found on land, because otherwise it would falsify the data. Also, every dive is a survey dive, but every survey is one dive. So if you do multiple dives or we find debris, we would submit multiple surveys. And last but not least, the importance of negative data or zero data. So if you do dives where you don't find any data at all, any debris at all, it's actually quite important that you submit this data as well. It's a really good argument for us to see something's going right there. And also, if we see there's been a lot of debris on a dive site for a long time and suddenly it's gone, it actually gives us the opportunity to reach out to the government, for example, and saying, hey, you've adjusted something. This is really good. Can we multiplicate it? So it's a very important thing for us to see as well if you don't find any debris. So to get started, you can just click on the dive against debris field. And the first thing it will ask you is if you want to use the location data from a previous survey, yes or no. So if you dive the same dive sites regularly, you can select yes, and it will give you a drop-down menu on all the dive sites we've used previously. So we can just copy the information over and make this process more streamlined. But for the sake of this example, I will be running you through the whole process, so I'm going to go ahead and click no. So the first thing is it will basically run you through the same guidelines that I've just talked to you about before again and ask you to agree to these. So please familiarize yourself with them and make sure that you follow these, as it's quite important for us to make sure the data is correct and valid for the data sheets that we actually use to work with changemakers and really drive an impact. So to get started, we just enter the dive team leader name. So I'm just going to pick myself here and the number of participants for this dive. Then the dive site name, and next up we can select if we found any debris or not. If the site was debris free, you can just click this one and it's not going to give you the form where you can select all the debris. But if there was debris, you click on site with debris and you enter the dive center name or the organization you were diving with. For example, this one was with our local dive shop called Tauch Up. Then you enter the survey date, which was yesterday, and the activity we were doing, so we can collect data both mermaiding and freediving, as well as scuba diving, but we were down on tanks, so I'm gonna select scuba diving. Next up, the location for your survey. So this is the same process as we've done previously with Adopted Blue. So just find the location on your map. Drop the pin in the middle of the dive set, not in the entry point, please. And click on update and continue with new site. Now we can select the radius that we dove in and click on continue and the country this dive set is based in, which will be Switzerland. Next up, the dive information of this dive that we did. So the average survey duration per PADI per minute, which was 45 minutes for us, and the depth range, the shallowest we've been was 2 meters and the deepest we've been was around 25 meters. And next up we would select the ecosystem. As this was a freshwater environment, I will select other, otherwise just select the according ecosystem for the dive that you've just done, and the wave conditions, which was smooth and waveless for us, which is quite normal in a lake, and we can click on continue. Next up, the data of the debris we found here. Luckily, we actually didn't find that much, but for the reliability, you would select if it's an estimate or if it's measured. So if you had a scale and weighted for this dive, I would select estimate, and the total weight was about 1 kilo because it wasn't all that much trash that we found. Next up, what type of debris did we find and how many items? And you can filter them here by the material they're in. Also, if you type in the name of it, it will show you the according box that they're in or like material they're made out of. So we found a bunch of straws. I'm going to collect this and find straws and stirrers, and we found about 5 pieces of them. Also, we did find some trash bags, grocery bags, 6 pieces of these, and also some fishing gears and lures, which you can find here as well. And that was it for this dive. So I'm going to select this, click on continue, and next time it will ask us if we found any entangled animals. What's important here is that these animals aren't only the ones we were able to free, but it's also important for us to understand if there is any bycatch or anything stuck in those debris pieces that died, because it's quite important information. So if there was anything you found, you can select it and enter it here. For the example that we didn't find any dead animals or entangled animals, luckily. So there's nothing to add, but please add anything you find. And if you do have videos, you can add those in the next step. Especially it's always nice to have videos of animals being freed. So please share these with us. And last but not least, the first question it will ask you is if you would like to tag your survey to the Adopted Blue site. And I would highly recommend you to do this for us, because it's really important that we see developments over time on the Adopted Dive sets that we have. So if we see you tag them to your Adopted Blue, we can see historical data from all the surveys done on this dive site that really help us get like a 360-degree understanding of what changes happen in this dive site, what problems there are, and we can also monitor if there's been any other changes that might be the cause of those things. So that's why I recommended you previously to adopt all dive sites that you regularly dive, so then you can tag them afterwards once you submit surveys and just provide us better and more meaningful data with this one simple step. So as I've already entered this dive step before, I can select the dive set I want to tag this to, and then it will ask you if there are any events that could have contributed to your debris. So what is the reason why we find it there? But we think here we do have fishermen on the pier that do fish quite a lot, and also the dive site is right next to a yacht club. So there's quite a lot of debris falling off those boats. I don't say they throw it in the water, but there's definitely some trash coming from the boats. And there is a big swimming area next to it for the public. So there's obviously a lot of trash coming in from there as well. And then if there's any additional information or stories or anything particular that you want to share with us that kind of highlights a bit more what happened, you can enter the information here. Also, if you do have pictures of either the complete debris you found underwater or an entangled animal or anything you want to share with us, you can add it here. We do allow a maximum of 10 pictures, and the maximum file size can't exceed 25 megabytes per picture. And also, if you have any videos, you can enter them. The maximum duration for the video would be 3 minutes, and the maximum file size would be 150 megabytes. So if the videos are quite high quality, I would recommend you to downscale it so we don't breach this parameter. And once we've done all of this, we can go ahead and click on submit. And if there's anything you haven't entered correctly, it will give you this warning, and we're going to go there in a second and adjust this date. So let's check out what we've missed that needs adjusting. And the good thing is it will highlight the section right away, so it didn't pick up the survey date. Let's enter this again and head back to the last page and click on submit, and you will see now it will come through without a problem. What's quite important to note is that every survey you guys submit will be validated by a human, and that will go through the data, make sure it's all correct and there is nothing missing. And once it's been revised, you will see it come through to your surveys, and under my surveys you can find all the surveys you've submitted. So you can see the ones you haven't submitted yet, you can see the ones that are pending, which means they are in process of review, and the ones that have been approved. If you see a red dot here, that means there is something there is an update on your surveys and something needs being doing. And if you click on pending ones, you can also see that there is a red little exclamation mark to showcase there's anything that needs adjusting there. So how that looks for you is if you click on a survey, you will see the page that needs adjusting highlighted in yellow, and you will see a note here. So for example, here we enter test, so it's a test survey. That's why it doesn't work, but otherwise for you it will directly say what's the problem with this, and you can adjust it, and then you can basically resubmit it in the last step to get this fixed, and you will also get an update once this has been approved. Last but not least, I'm going to run you through the other functions of the platform right now. So below here we have the impact map, which is a really, really cool tool to see the global impact we've had as a community of ocean torchbearers and change makers for the ocean. So once you zoom in, anywhere you go, you're going to see that the data is loading up of all the community actions taken on the PADI platform so far. So that's a combination of all the dive against debris, of all the adopted blue, and you can also find the members that did it. So if you click on here, you can see there's quite a lot of adopted blues happening there. There was a dive against debris done 3 years ago already in March 2022, and you can find exactly who was participating in it, the dive shot that they did it with, and the debris that was collected. And like this, you can easily see the impact that our community has across the planet, and it's really fascinating to see that you can go pretty much wherever you want on the planet, and there has been some surveys of dive against debris done. We've even got some out tagged in Antarctica as well as off the coast of Greenland, which is really cool. So that's just a really fun way for you guys to see how global our community really is and the amount of impact that we can drive together. Last but not least, the contact form. So if you do have any questions or feedback for us, we do really appreciate it, and we surely are here to help you guys out on your mission to change the world for a better one. And if you need help for that, let us know. So you can just select the subject of what it is about that you want to talk to us about. Otherwise, just select other and enter your message and contact us, and we will get back to you as soon as we can with a response to your question. And yes, so this is the Conservation Action Portal. Hey, it's been a pleasure walking you through this. If you do have any questions or something's unclear, please do let me know, or do let us know. We're super happy to help you out, and we're at your disposal for questions. And I'll hopefully see you underwater very soon. Thank you.